Big poppin', money in the bank coming, dropping a deposit. Having it my way, so I got these bitches watching. Steady getting to it, couldn't fit it in my pocket. Flexing everything, baby, tell me big poppin'. Money in the bank coming, dropping a deposit. Having it my way, so I got these bitches watching. Steady getting to it, couldn't fit it in my pocket. Flexing everything, baby, tell me what the topic.
Yeah, what's poppin', everybody. Welcome back to the bar. It's your girl, Henny, and I'm about to pour up plenty of the hot Henny that y'all love to sip on. So if you are new here, welcome. Please be sure to like, comment, and of course, subscribe. Click that notification bell, select all so that you get notified whenever I do a video. And if you are a returning Mob Down Henny Gang member, yeah. Now we gonna get all up into this hot Henny. I think I'm gonna leave it at that color tonight, just to do something a little different. Baby, let me tell you. So last night, while I was reading the court docs for Big U, well, not Big U, but for the witnesses, the confidential witnesses that are going to be revealed to the defense, people were asking me about the game, and I can admit I had no idea what was going on. The last I heard, he was supposed to be going to court. I forgot all about him going to court. I did not read y'all the documents on all of that. And boom, here we are. So you see what happens when you follow a story for about a year and then you just drop the ball on one thing and then it spirals into something else? Yeah. Well, I have the court docs that show exactly what happened and how he ended up losing that $4 million Calabasas mansion. Well, actually, it's like $3 million and change, but they're rounding it off to be a cool $4 million. Salute to everybody that is in the chat on the late night, because this is the late night pour up with Henny. So I see all of y'all coming in. Get comfortable, my dears, because we are about to pour it all the way up. And we're going to start here with this video. Now, if you didn't watch it or you missed it or whatever it is, don't worry, because I'm about to take you there. Because as usual, academics called Wack to find out about the situation that was going on with the game. And Wack 100 fed academics a bunch of lies. Yes, he did. And I'm going to point out all the lies. And then we're going to watch a couple of old videos that I did covering this case. And we're going to read a few docs. So some of you may fall asleep while this live is going. And if not, and you stay up, then you are in for a big treat. But we're not going to spend too much more time. We're going to get right into it. So let's listen to the lies that Wack told DJ Academics.
Game story. What game story? They're saying the game is losing his house to Jordan. I don't know nothing about that. I call my family. It's been a situation for like 10 years. Yeah, they start reporting. They're like, what happens is, I believe the attorney is him over there. He be paying the blogs and shit. He's got some type of vendetta against game, bro.
Now, this is why I said I have not been paid not one red dime, nickel, penny, quarter, dollar bill from no attorney to cover the game story. Can y'all hear it? Y'all can hear it, right? Oh, he's still talking on screen.
I guess he believes the girl, you know. That, how could they sell it? So, from my understanding, the house isn't in the game, aka Jason Taylor's name. I get he owes a debt, but how could they force the sale of a house if it's not in his name? How does that work? I mean, just because something's not in your name don't mean it's not tied to your name. You know what I'm saying?
Now, let me tell you whose name the game's house is in. The game's house is in Wack's name. In case you didn't know, I've covered this already. I've told y'all how it went down. We're going to get into the video after this play. Matter of fact, no, let's get into the video now. Let me see if this video will play for y'all, because if none of the videos will play, then we're going to have a problem. because I need to be able to play these videos. All right. Nah, I'll wait until after this. But we'll see if these videos are playing. But the game is in Wack's name. It started off in JTT Holdings' name. Then we're gonna get it got out of Wack. It got out of JTT Holdings and into Wack's possession. But we'll get into that step by step after we debunk him.
But that gets messy.
This is one of those situations that game this court. That's the bad part about it. It ain't like it was like a back and forth, and we seen all the facts and
What's all right?
leaned on.
Not to cut you off, you know I am. Because we saw the Soulja Boy thing, and Soulja Boy lost and supposedly owes $4 million. Soulja Boy apparently went to court, and he showed up every day. They talked about his demeanor. What happened? So the game never went to court?
He absolutely never went to court, and he played games.
No, it was court date in Chicago. So I want to say the day, maybe the day before, day or two before, he had something was going on his dental issues, so he went in, right? So when he went into the dentist, they had to do like a emergency procedure or something, whatever it was. So, you know, when you go to do certain procedures, they ask you, you plan on flying or whatever. He said, yeah, I got to fly to Chicago. And the next day, the dentist told him, based on whatever he gave him or used, he advised him not to fly, right? So I took that information and forwarded it to the attorney. The attorney still flies up to Chicago. And when he gets up there, he presents the document to the judge. For some reason, bro, the judge wasn't having it. To a point, the judge, during court, called the fucking dentist.
Really?
Thinking maybe it's fake. You should better go find this shit in the minutes, bro. It's in Chicago, right?
And he is absolutely correct, because if you know anything about Henny, you know Henny got the damn court docs. Let me just show y'all. Let me put the doc up on the screen for y'all so y'all can see it. Is it this one? Yep, it's this one. This is the court doc right here. And oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to get in the court doc and we're going to compare it to what old Wacky Doodle Doo had to say about it, because he told some of the truth, but you know him. I've always told y'all, he takes a little bit of the truth, mixes it up with some shit water, and mixes it up with a little bullshit and gives you shit water. Okay, that's why we call him Duty Shooter. PP liquor. Y'all already know why we call him that. But anyway, let's continue, y'all.
Calls the dentist. The dentist tells him he advised him not to fly because of the altitude, some shit. I don't know, right? Bro, the judge and the dentist end up doing a back and forth. The judge flexing, telling him, well, I'm a judge, and I said, and the dentist is saying, shit, I trump you. You know what I'm saying? So he did have a procedure done. I forgot what it was. He has his paperwork. This is how the judge was able to call the dentist.
The procedure that the game is alleged to have had is 2 root canals.
And based upon the judge went in with the no-show. And when he put him as a no-show, it activated the judgment. The crazy part about it, the original filing was for $1 million, $2 million. Yeah. Right? But for whatever reason, because the judge was feeling the way he was feeling, he bumped that shit up to $5 million, $7 million, some crazy shit. Really? So from that point, it was a dog fight.
So this is all over a default judgment because the game didn't.
That's it.
Really?
That's it.
So wait, what about appeal though? Because you could appeal that.
Did all that, bro. This why, bro, we talking about some shit.
Now, again, Wack is lying about things because it is not about the fact that the judge in Chicago felt the way and so she lost the house. Woo-de-woo-de-woo. I mean, he lost the house. Woo-de-woo-de-woo. That's not what happened. Okay. The game was out here playing games. We're going to get into the court doc and I'm going to read it for you guys. Okay. We're going to read it from the top and take it all the way down. All right. The game was playing games, and that's how he lost that case out there in Chicago. But the reason why he's losing this case right here in California, because the case was transferred from Chicago, Illinois, to Los Angeles Superior Courts. And once the case got to Los Angeles, that's when things got tricky. And that's when Priscilla's lawyer, put it in writing about how Wack and the game were funneling money and assets through shell companies and all of that. And the judge ordered them to reverse that stuff, but they never reversed it. They kept it as it was. And now here we are today. And I know that there's some holes in that explanation. And I promise you, I'm going to plug them in for you a little later on. I don't want to give too much away right this second. Now, the game absolutely did try to appeal the judgment that was made in California where the lien got placed on the Calabasas home. He did try to appeal that. I did cover that not too long ago, but the judge said, And the game tried to go ahead and appeal it one more time, appeal the judge's decision, and was supposed to show up to court. And guess what? He never showed up to court. So the default judgment, all the motions, everything went through. But even now in this litigation, as you will see, they were still trying to fight Priscilla tooth and nail on getting what is rightfully and legally hers, which is that $7 million plus interest.
It's like 2015.
Yeah.
So why you think it's been 10 years? Appeals, this, that.
Y'all been fighting in court.
Yeah, this, that, trying to get back on the appeals. They denied the appeal. They denied this. They denied that. So at this point, I don't know if there's been another court case recently. I don't know. I haven't been the one in maybe about a year, close to a year, maybe. So I don't know if another court date or this is just
lies and deceit.
The attorney dude over there, because every now and then he does this shit. He'll just like contact all the blogs. But you know, as of yet,
I've never been contacted by an attorney. Thank you.
It's saying it doesn't really make sense because what you're trying to get, it ain't there. You know what I mean? So I don't really know what the angle is.
So
I do know she's been getting paid. She's been getting paid. Day one, you know, she's gotten payments.
But I thought he said that she wasn't getting payments. And he's saying she was getting payments day one, and she wasn't, because they were funneling their money through F12 and Associates, past Go to Win, and JTT Holdings in order to keep the game's royalties from going into her pocket. And she has rights to snatch up that royalty, snatch up his assets, anything that comes in as income, she gets a cut of that. And they was hiding all of that. Yeah, baby, if you missed that video, don't worry, we finna watch it.
You know, I guess they out for blood. You know how that shit go.
So they keep trying to say you own all the game assets. Like,
and does.
What's all his assets? First of all, everybody needs to understand, I'm not just a manager. I'm the label.
I think people don't know that.
So, yeah, a lot of people don't. Go to the last album, Drillmatic. Go to iTunes real quick, Go to iTunes, pull up Drillmatic.
Now, Henny Glasses in the chat, if y'all actually heard of Drillmatic, and if you're from Cali, you don't count. Because you probably did hear about, well, no, I'm not going to say y'all don't count, because you do count. Because sometimes y'all don't know anything about stuff either.
Scroll down to the bottom. Tell me what it tells you.
Give me 1 second. know how to find it. Drillmatic. I got his profile now. Let's look at
Go to the album, the playlist.
Drillmatic Hard vs. Mine 2022.
Yeah, scroll to the bottom where it tells you the labels.
It says 2022 100 ENT/Pneumatic Inc.
Okay, what does that say?
That it was released at least partially on 100 ENT.
That's a fact. Right, through Virgin, through the means of, I think I did Virgin Records back then. I think like Virgin Music back, right? So what people gotta understand is like when it comes to certain things that you are labeled, that's not owning the game asset, that's having a part of it that belongs to you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's business. Now I don't.
Now, remember, I just told you he was funneling money through them shell companies, and we all know that he was funneling money through them shell companies. And now he's trying to play it off like, oh, no, I'm owed that because I'm not only the manager, I'm the label. But wait, during the transcripts, didn't he say he wasn't the manager and he had no contract with the game, but that he was a broker, that he brokered deals between venues and artists, but he was not a manager? He did say that. Now, all of a sudden, he's the manager and the label. The lies.
Know what else they talking about? That I mean, as far as assets, like the assets I own, respectfully, belong to me. The assets he owns belongs to him.
Negative. That's how it's supposed to be.
You know, I don't own games, jury, whatever else he may have. You know, I don't keep up with what the artists have. But that ain't my job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That ain't what I do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Really, pretty much.
I heard the same shit. I heard the same shit from Blueface's mother. If you ever talked to her, she said the same shit about her son, and then she realized, hey, I was wrong. And I said, yeah, I may have helped assist a motherfucker get or acquire, but if it's in their name, it's in their name. It's their shit. If it's in my name is my shit. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what to get. I hear that all the time. Like, James' assets is in your name. Whatever percentage of music that I own contractually, because of that's the structure of the business, that's me. That's like saying, oh, Birdman owns some of Lil Wayne's shit. The album came out up under Cash Money, right?
Yeah.
So whatever percentage goes to Birdman is going to go to Birdman. Whatever percentage go to Wayne, go to Wayne. Whatever percentage goes to UMG, go to UMG. But people just say some shit, and it just don't make sense. I don't know one motherfucker, or it might be some out there that just owns 100% of a nigga shit, unless we brought him out.
Okay, I don't know. So people aren't being honest with that then.
That would be court docs.
When you talk to Game about this, how does he feel about this? Because it feels like this might be a...
Hold on. Uno momento. Let me show y'all something. Because I really just, like, really, y'all know me. I like to debunk the hell out of him. And I just really cannot hold it to myself anymore. But let me get this damn document up here on this screen. What he owns, and what the game owns, the game owns. However, this is a deed transfer. And the deed transfer went to Cash McElroy Jones. Yeah. This is where the deed transfer. Now, it went where? JTT Holdings, B&B Associate Group. B&B? Who remembers The Wire? Because B&B reminds me of that. Anyway, from B&B Associates, recording requested by B&B Associates, and when recorded, mailed to, and recorded, mailed to JTT Holdings, right? So this went from JTT Holdings. Let me show you right here. This went from JTT Holdings to Cash McElroy Jones. But don't worry. We're going to get into all of this in a moment. But I'm just showing you that I do have the docs. In case you are new here, this is Hennessy Reviews. And over here, I catch three-finger duty shooter PP Liquor in all of his lies. But now, let's continue with the charade that he is putting on. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done.
Situations where you got to deal with legal. Anytime you're dealing with legal, it's always an inconvenience. Or
hey, Wack, I ain't gonna lie to you. The game is the reason. Like, I ain't gonna lie. I promise you. So last year, I probably paid about $700,000 in legal, just like legal fees. And I've always just chalked it up as, you know, in some of the stuff you get it back because, you know, sometimes, you know, if somebody loses, you get a countersuit and
this part.
Yeah, it's a lot of things to it. But you know what I've realized? The reason why I respond to everything is because I'm like, I don't want some slimy, nasty whore who sues me, and I'm like, fuck.
Some slimy, nasty whore who sues him. This is why I be on. Let me just get through this.
And then all of a sudden, the judge is like, "Oh, you think you're bigger than the program? We're gonna put in a $3 million judgment," and this bitch runs around for like whatever years. Torment.
No, yeah, you can't do that. But in this situation, it wasn't that he was like.
Salute King Buckwild.
The mother, bro, listen, respectfully. Kanye West's mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
May she rest in peace. A doctor, one or two doctors prior to the doctor she went to, told her not to do the procedure, right?
What does this have to do with anything?
They told her this. She went and did it. What ended up happening? So if the doctor's telling you, hey, the shit I used on you was in your system, I don't know what it's for pain or whether they put him to sleep. I don't really know what it was.
No, Blueface is now. Let me pause this. Blueface's house is in Blueface's name, but the same thing is about to go down for Blueface.
If you get a certain altitude, things can happen. Yeah. So let's say Gang jumps on the plane anyway, disregards the doctor, gets up there, catches an aneurysm or goes into a seizure. Okay, at this point in time, there's nothing we can do. Like, it's nothing we can do because once the doctor tells you what not to do and you do it anyway,
Him and Kim got separated.
So it was kind of like a situation. Now, I do remember the reality show. And, you know, it might be a good thing for you to go read the complaints because if I can remember, she said he touched my ass in a club. Now, this is the thing.
She did not say he touched my ass in the club. I'm going to read what she said.
She was on the actual reality show. It's an elimination show.
Uh-huh.
Let me ask you something, Hack. When do you think it became a problem? Before or after she was eliminated?
Most likely after.
After she's eliminated, a month after the date she says, Gang touched my ass in the club.
Wasn't that show with like
No
MTV?
witness it. Yeah, it was like 51 Minds or something.
Oh, no. VH1.
VH1. There was no witnesses to this shit.
By the way, I was shocked by
And lie.
Cross their T's and dot their I's and made sure like these women signed something that they couldn't file a lawsuit like this.
I don't know. I didn't have nothing to do with that show in particular. at the time, I didn't really like the show because it was pulling game away from the image I felt worked for him best.
Isn't that the same thing he said about Blueface? He didn't like the TV thing because he felt like it was messing with his image. Let's continue.
This is why he did the show anyway. But it was like to me, I felt like it was softening up his image, which the foundation of game wasn't built on the soft image. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of introducing his first name. So game was like slightly going from the game to JCI. Well, JCI is him, that's his name. But in the line of work that I'm doing with him, the game is where it's at. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, unless, you know what I'm saying? You know, game was going Compton, gangster rap. You know what I mean? West Coast, raw uncut. You know, diss track, diss music, battle music. You know, that's what that was. But I kind of felt like he thought he was building a bigger audience, a female audience. So, you know, he was right how he saw it. And you can't avoid this type of shit. If a female want to just say you did something, this ain't no shiny sharp shit. There's no text messages. There's no audio. There's none of that. Where it's a back and forth, insinuations, sex, having sex, approaching her, none of that. It's just her saying he touched my ass in the club.
All right. So we're going to stop. There's only like a couple of minutes left. I can't take but so much of Wack, and y'all know that. So what we're going to do is we're going to get right back over here to that good old, remember that memorandum that I told y'all? Well, that's the document. He told academics and the world to go look for the minutes. But y'all know that I have been following this case for about a year. Like I said, let me get my watermark over here, because that's what I do. If you don't like the watermark, I feel sorry for you, because I'm gonna do my watermark thing. Anyway, let's get the screen. Highlight the screen. Boom. The document is up here. So now this is the memorandum, and this memorandum is from 2008. Now let's compare this to what Wack said in the allegation. So it says the complaint filed in early August of 2015, alleging the following: Rainey was cast as one of several female contestants on the VH1 reality show called She Got Game, a production essentially patterned on The Bachelor, with Taylor, the game, a rap artist who performs under the stage name The Game, as the male lead. In May 2015, while the show was filming in the Chicago area, Taylor took Rainey on an off-camera date to Adriana's sports bar in Markham, Illinois. Taylor sexually battered Rainey that night, including by reaching his hand inside her dress and rubbing her bare vagina and buttocks in front of the crowd of onlookers. That's what she said. It wasn't just touching her rear end, it was rubbing her area and groping her behind in front of a bunch of onlookers. Doesn't sound so simple and innocent to me. Now, does it? It sounds like some BS was going on. Anyways, so now it says, at status hearing in early October of 2015 and early November of 2015, Rainey's attorney reported on his unsuccessful efforts to serve the game. Okay. In December of 2015, Rainey moved to approve alternative services after 5 process servers in 3 states, one of whom tried 41 times to personally serve the game at his home, could not effectuate service, meaning they could not serve the game at his home. So it wasn't just a matter of him ducking court, as Wack told academics. It was a matter of the game was ducking everything, including being served. All right. The court granted the motion, ruling that if the game does not answer or otherwise plead to the complaint within plead to the court within the required time frame, the court would enter a default judgment under Civil Rule 55A and will proceed to a proving up hearing. The game did not answer or otherwise plead during the required time frame, and so the court entered a Rule 55A default on February 1st, 2016, stating, I have given the defendant plenty of opportunity to appear in this court. The plaintiff established that the defendant was evading service, so I issued an order allowing for alternative service, and there were about 3 belts and 2 pairs of suspenders in that order. I don't know what that means, but that's what the judge said, okay? And the defendant certainly knows about this case. There has been a lot of chatter about it on social media, and I just can only assume, based on the lack of responsibility in court, that the defendant knows about the case, has been served with alternative service, with summons and the complaint, and has elected not to respond. So all the way back when this case first started, the reason why the case went into default is because the game was ducking and dodging. That is how, well, no, this is not how he ended up. Let's continue, all right? So the game's lawyer, Andre Williams, who's an attorney out of Florida, appeared in court 10 days later after they already did the default. He went to court 10 days later and shortly thereafter moved to quash service and set aside the default. On February 24th of 2016, the court denied the motion to quash, reasoning that the record paints a very clear and unmistakable picture of the plaintiff's dodging efforts at service and how she was foiled at effecting service. But the court vacated the default and set trial for November 14th, 2016. So the judge at first was gonna, put denied the quash, but then they vacated and went ahead to set a trial for November 14th, right? Right. After the game answered, the case was referred to the magistrate judge, who set a settlement conference for June 16th. The parties and their counsel must personally appear for the settlement conference. And guess what? The game played games. On June 2nd, he moved to reset the settlement conference as one ground for continuance. The game said, now get this, that past Memorial Day weekend, sadly, almost 70 people were shot in the city of Chicago. Due to high volume of violence and likelihood of reprisals due to such violence, the defendant has grave concerns for his safety and for those who assist him during his travel due to his celebrity status. So basically, they had a bunch of stuff jumping off in Chicago, right? And the game used that as an opportunity to say, I fear for my safety and the safety of those who travel with me. So can we move this date? The next day, the magistrate judge canceled the settlement conference, but cautioned the parties that their trial date on 11/14/2016 is a firm date that will not be extended. Okay. So now, at the next status hearing before the district judge, the court expressed to Williams, which remember is the game's lawyer, great skepticism regarding Taylor's motion. The judge says, unless your client was going to be staying in North Lawndale or East Garfield Park or Inglewood, I don't think he was going to have any problem with the violence in the Chicago area. Not many people are knocked off in a town car from O'Hare to the Four Seasons. So, when I read that, it just struck me as a huge joke. And that only thing you accomplish by doing that is hurting your own credibility and your client's credibility in court. So I'd encourage you to keep that stuff to a minimum, if not eliminate it entirely. So the judge was not trying to hear him. Now, what are you reading, Henny? For those of y'all who are just coming in, what I am reading is the reasons why the game lost his case starting from the beginning, okay? And since Wack went here with everything in the beginning and he had some things to say, I'm going to tell y'all exactly what it is that happened. And since he said go to the minutes, this is the memorandum, and we're getting into it, all right? So now on July 5th, the game moved under U.S. Code 28 to transfer the case to the Central District of California or the Southern District of Florida. So now he's trying to move the case in an efforts to delay it. And of course, the judge denied it. Okay. The judge denied that motion and stated that the parties have known since February 24th of the November 14th trial date. And the game was trying to say that he needed time in order to get his discovery together. And the judge was like, y'all have had 8 months, 8.5 months, almost 9 to get it together. And based off of your history, you have not been showing us that you have diligently been looking into your case and that you really honestly give a damn about it. And I'm paraphrasing because I've already read this, but I'm just telling y'all, that you give a damn about this case. So if you were doing your due diligence and actually taking an effort to be involved in your own case, then maybe I would take that up for consideration. But based off of your history and all this clownery and buffoonery that you got your lawyer up in here pulling for you, absolutely not. So now they had a jury trial, you guys. It was a jury trial. So now the jury trial began as scheduled on Monday, November 14th. The game was not present that day, but Williams, his lawyer, informed the court that although Taylor would not be present for jury selection, he would be there the next day. How you not going to be present for your own jury selection? How? Anyways, as William explained days later, Taylor did not believe. He did not believe believe it necessary to appear for the first day of trial because professional basketball star Derrick Rose, as a defendant in his own civil sexual assault case in the District of California, did not appear for his first day of trial. So you didn't go to the first day of your trial because an NBA player from California didn't show up for the first day of his sexual assault case. So you did it for your... Anyway, the difference between Rose's and the game's circumstances, apart from the fact that Rose had a pre-planned obligation the first day of trial, the preseason opener in Houston, is that Rose sought and obtained in advance the judge's permission for missing the first day of trial. Okay? As where Jayceon did not. Okay. By contrast to Rose, Taylor had no professional obligations the first day of trial, and making matters worse, simply took it upon himself to be absent. So he just said, screw the judge, I'm gonna do what I want to do. Okay. When trial resumed on Tuesday, November 15th, Williams notified the court that the game would not be present that day and had an oral motion for continuance. Williams represented that the game had called an emergency dental line at approximately 6 p.m. on Sunday. Y'all pay attention to this. November 13th, and had undergone emergency dental surgery in Los Angeles on November 14th. Williams invited the court to call the dental professional who performed Taylor's, the game's procedure. During that call, the professional, assuming that's who that was on the line, as no one was under oath, stated that he performed basically more or less a root canal procedure, 2 of them on November 14th, and that he typically follows up with his patients in a couple of weeks. He also stated that he would not have recommended that Taylor fly on that day of his procedure because altitude change can cause pain. No affidavit or declaration from Taylor or the dental professional was present, meaning that he didn't submit anything from the doctor's office. But now check this out. To assist in evaluating the veracity of the game story, Priscilla's counsel presented the court with screenshots from the game's Snapchat account. The account has a post showing the game smoking something in a dark room with flashing pink lights at 2:44 a.m. Pacific time, the morning of Monday, November 14th. So there goes Wack trying to keep the lie alive. Right there in black and white in the document that he said. So while he told some of the truth, he ain't tell all of the truth. Because let me tell you something about every attorney that Priscilla Rainey has had. They have been one step ahead of Wack in the game. They have always figured out what they have been up to. And look, you sat up here, and that's why the court said, assuming that it was a dentist, because the dentist said they performed 2 root canals. You had 2 root canals. How you smoking something? How you partying? You are laid up on pain medication, bruh. Ain't no way. So now this is what the judge says. From what it looks like, the game was out partying. And the fact that he was out partying on a Sunday night and early Monday morning, that's very odd for somebody with a trial in Chicago at 9:30 in the morning on Monday morning. I've never had a case, and I've tried 36 cases over here. I've never had a case where a party did not appear for his or her own trial. Whether plaintiffs or defendants. Your dier is part of the trial. And we could very well have had openings yesterday. This is indicative of somebody who has no intention of appearing at trial. It is certainly very odd for someone who called in a dental emergency on Sunday at 6 p.m. Surgery happened during the day on Monday from 10 to 2. And neither the defendant nor his people bothered to call his attorney, who was here trying the case in Chicago. Again, it's indicative of somebody who has no intentions of appearing in the first place. Maybe the game has a room at his house with flashing pink lights where he smokes, but from what it looks like, he was out partying on Sunday night and Monday morning. And then we have the backdrop. Throughout this case, throughout this litigation, the game has not taken this case seriously and has engaged in avoidance behavior. And that's putting it nicely and mildly. He evaded service for months, resulting in my approval of alternative services and a default. And all during that time, he knew about the case. And we know that he knew about the case because he was talking about it on social media, and he was still evading services. Then he filed a motion to cancel the settlement conference here in Chicago in June, and with a wholly non-credible excuse. That story he gave about being concerned for his safety, if he came to Chicago, was utterly ridiculous. And it was more avoidance behavior from him. Then a month later, 4 months before trial, he tried to transfer the case because he knew he had a trial date. He knew it was set. He wanted to move it to another venue in order to get a later date. Then a month before trial, he moved for a continuance, more avoidance behavior. And I talked about when denying that motion, the fact that the game did not put together a legal team that would have allowed him to do the things that he needed to do to get this case ready for trial in the 9 months since I set this case for trial. From all of this, from everything I've just said, by far the most likely conclusion, and perhaps the only reasonable conclusion, is that the game's current absence is more of the same, that it's voluntary, and that he had no intention of appearing at trial. And there's been no showing of the game absolutely needed the surgery on Monday, particularly given that he called it in on Sunday at 6 p.m. And then from what we could tell at this point, went out partying that evening into the morning. So for those reasons, and again, I'm basing this on the information that I have at this particular point in time, and I've been provided nothing else, I'm going to deny the motion for continuance, and we're going to proceed at trial. The next day, November 16th, Taylor's attorney, which is the game, y'all know that, presented the court with printed copies of airline and hotel reservations and renewed the motion for continuance. The court denied the motion on record. Would you say, I look down over here and see Danklin UFO said he stuffed a blunt in the root canal. Now, let me ask you this. Do y'all want me to continue reading, or y'all want me to jump down to the part where it talks about the actual assault and how it happened and when it happened and all of that? If you want me to keep reading, say, Henny, keep going. If you want me to go to the next spot, drop a Henny glass in the chat. Let me know. Let me know. So we gotta keep reading, please. Oh, thank you. You like my reading? I appreciate you. I'm quite sure there's gonna be some more. Keep reading. Yeah, keep going. Look, Justice for You said jump to the good parts. All right, so we're gonna keep going a little bit more. All right, so now The reservation, this is what the judge said after reading, getting these hotel reservations. All right. The reservation, it says that there's a reservation that he's going to leave LA at 11:25 Monday night and arrive 5:12 a.m. on Tuesday morning, November 15th, which is a day after the trial was going to start. And then it has him returning at 7:50 p.m. on Wednesday, November 16th, and arriving in LA at 10:23 p.m. on Wednesday, November 16th. After I had been informed by both lawyers last week that this case was actually going to take more than the 4 or 5 days that I had been told, none of this makes sense. It doesn't even address the flight issue. But even if the flight issues were addressed, we have everything else, which is, did he really need to be in LA for dental surgery? If it was such a serious dental emergency, why is he out partying all night Sunday night and Monday morning? So I'm questioning the legitimacy and the seriousness of the dental issue. Even if it was a serious and legitimate dental issue, why didn't he tell you until Monday night talking to his lawyer? There's no answer. So the motion for continuance is still denied for all the reasons I have given. As to the flight and hotel reservations, which were shown to the court, by which Williams did not make part of the court record, the court stated there's 2 men, 2 women, 1 hotel room at the Crumpton that was booked. Again, this demonstrates what I've been suspecting, which is they did not intend to come out, because if they intended to come out with 2 men and 2 women with first class flights costing $1,300 a seat, they wouldn't have skimped by shoving everyone in 1 hotel room. They have 1 hotel room booked, arriving on Monday and departing on Wednesday. So this is a ruse. It's really poor ruse and really transparent ruse, but it's a ruse nonetheless. So this travel information doesn't even cure the travel part of the multifaceted reason why I have denied the motion for continuance. So now he also gave the courts false booking information. You got 4 people flying in, 1 hotel room for 4 people, and they flying out the same day. Like, come on, bro. Later that day, Williams raised the issue of the game's travel reservations again. This is what his lawyer said to the court. Just for the record, Your Honor, it is not and was not a ruse, at least to the best of my knowledge of my client's actions. And that's based off conversations that in their totality did not give any impression that there was any ruse. Furthermore, there was certainly not any instruction by the defendant to create some sort of catastrophe. The courts, that's fine. And when I said that this was a ruse with the plain reservation, I was not directing that towards you. You're passing along the information that you got. Perhaps it would have been the better course for you to have looked at the information before you passed it on to me and made a judgment as to what the impact of it would be in the court. Because if you had, you would have seen that he was planning on leaving Wednesday evening for what was supposed to be a 4 to 5 day trial. And I was told a 6 to 7 day trial. And you'd have seen that there was 1 hotel room for 4 adults. And that certainly would have prompted questions in my mind as to whether the game and the others truly intended to hop on these planes and occupy the hotel room. I don't think you instigated it, but it's another issue we may have to talk about, because if my suspicions are correct, this is an attempt to perpetuate a fraud on the court. That makes the court think that plans were in place to be here when in fact they weren't. And that's what is screaming out from the materials that have been presented to me at this point. So now, you know, the trial progressed and the issues of the game continued on. He wasn't there Friday the 18th after both sides rested, and Williams showed the court a reservation for an additional 2 hotel rooms and airline reservations for the game security personnel. Again, Williams did not make those reservations part of the record, and the court wasn't having it. Okay, so now let's skip on down, because all of this is more extensions that he was filing for, more times of him not coming to court, him being accused of not being truthful. Okay, now here is where we're going to get into a little bit of the meat and potatoes of all of this. I will be sure that I give y'all a video probably sometime over the weekend. It ain't going to be me. I'm going to see if I can find an AI to read some of these court docs for y'all and put it up so y'all can see it. All right, so now this is where Wack claims that there was no evidence, there was no witnesses, there was none of that, right? And that this woman, Priscilla Rainey, did not bring up these allegations until after she was eliminated on She Got Game. That was a lie, and let's get into it, okay? Now, this is before the jury. The jury's liability verdict here is supported by the evidence. Along with 12 other women, Rainey was a contestant on She Got Game. The show followed the contestants as they traveled around the country with the game, competing for his affection during group outings and one-on-one dates. As the show progressed, the game gradually eliminated contestants, as in The Bachelor. On the evening of May 15th, 2015, while She Got Game was filming in Chicago, Rainey and the game went on an off-camera outing to a nightclub called Ariana Sports Bar. Rainey testified that at the nightclub, when the pair were on stage in full view of the crowd, he grabs under my skirt hard, and grabs. And I go, and I turn around like, stop. And he grabs me again. So I turn around and I go to push him like this. I was going to push him as hard as I could. And I went like this. But as I went like this, and I'm facing him now, my back is to the crowd. And I go like this. He grabs me around my back and grabs under my butt cheeks and literally lifts me up like this. My whole butt and everything is exposed to the crowd, everything. So at this point, I'm trying to get my arms down and pull my skirt. And I'm kind of pushing him and everything at the same time. He lets me go. So I turn around and it was all of a sudden so quickly. I was like, okay, boom. I turn around, I was like, okay, boom. Turn around, grab my boobs, pulls me back. And now he jiggles my breast for the crowd. Not for his own pleasure, literally for the crowd. The light is shining on us, and he's literally going like this with my breast. And then he lets me go. And I go and I walk down the stairs, and I walk to the steps, and I turn to the right, and I'm trying to walk ahead of him. He grabs under my skirt for the 3rd time, and I turn around and I go, fucking stop. And he goes, shut the fuck up before I eliminate you. Now, here's the question. Each time he reached underneath your dress and grabbed, where exactly did he grab? He grabbed my vagina. So he didn't just grab her butt. Okay? So now, Paul, a security guard working for She Got Game, testified that he encountered Rainey crying in the hallway of her hotel in the early morning hours of May 16th, soon after she returned from Adriana's. Now, he said there was no witness, but here we have Paul Smith, the security guard from She Got Game, testifying under oath. As shown on video footage from May 18th from the show, Rainey confronted Taylor on the show's tour bus about what happened at Adriana's. Rainey, let me tell you what bothers me. The game. Now, what you can do, Rainey, because what bothered me was real. The game. What you can do is be a woman and shut up. Like you could shut up right now. I said don't mention it. I said it to your face. Rainey, right, okay, the game. And you went and mentioned it. Rainey, right, I mentioned it, the game. So that's the fucking problem. Rainey, I left out of there with no panties on. I had just got done washing my face, and when I got to the club, he grabbed my butt, and realized I didn't have no panties on, and he touched my pussy, and then he did it 3 more times after that. That shit bothered me. I'm not used to shit like that. So yeah, I spoke about it, man. Fuck out of here. The game, fucking psycho. Rainey, why is you mad at me? The game, get the fuck out of here. Your pussy ain't no motherfucking, and it's unaudible. They can't tell what he said. Rainey, who gives a fuck? It's not for you to touch. The game, hey, get her the fuck out of here or y'all gonna regret it. Rainey, it's not for you to touch. I wanted to talk to you nicely. The game, get the fuck out of here. Rainey, I'm trying to talk to you. The game, fuck off this bus. Rainey, what's going on with you? Taylor, which is the game, sorry. Get off the bus before you get your ass strangled. This is my house. Who are you yelling at? You see me? You see me? This is me. This is me. I don't appreciate all that noise. Okay. You broke the concentration. I'm reading. All right. Ready? I'm going to start again. Okay, so what's wrong with you? The game. Get off the bus before you get your ass strangled. I'll fucking choke your ass up. Rainey, would you? The game. Yeah, I would. So now, here we go. What did he just say? Yeah, the dog barked. You just heard the dog bark for the first time. So what was Wack saying to academics? That there was no witness? Listen, I'm reading, I'm working. Hi, Bentley. So clearly there was a witness, okay? And he goes on and he talks about the money that she won. Yeah, she won 1.6 million in damages. I forgot what kind of damages they were. Charge it to my head, not my heart. But it was 2 types of damages, punitive, and I forgot the other one. One of those damages was 1.2. The other one was like 6 something. So she ended up with a total of $7 million. That's how we get to that. But I have a treat for y'all, okay? Because we do have Priscilla telling her story in her voice, and hopefully y'all can hear this video. I really hope y'all can hear this video. Let me go back just a little bit. Well, y'all tell me if y'all can hear this. I'm about to play it for y'all. Y'all tell me if y'all can hear this.
$1 million.
Jason motherfucking Taylor,
Also known as
the game.
Let's go.
It's giving me $10 million.
And what?
Can y'all hear that? Can y'all hear that? Let me know down in the chat. You can? Good. I guess it was just DJ Academics. I guess my computer said we don't like academics.
Why is he gonna give?
Never mind.
Why is he giving you $10 million?
This nigga's giving me $10 million because I'm probably the first female that ever stood up for his disrespectfulness.
To the mic. How did he disrespect? Yeah. How did he disrespect you for the people that are?
Now, I have to give a warning. The following portion of programming may be triggering, and it also contains some graphic language. Okay? Let's put the warning out there. It contains some content that some may find disturbing. This is a trigger warning. Okay? So if you are triggered, please exit and then come back later.
Unaware. Because we got to build this case.
I think everybody else is already aware of what's going on because they probably hate me for it because I let everybody know that he sexually assaulted me.
What?
And this is real. And
And?
he also attacked me, and this is caught on camera. And let me say this right now,
Caught on camera, y'all.
and I'm gonna say it right now. But 51 Minds If it ain't real, why y'all offer me money?
Okay. So I think that is well. So this was the very first video that I did on the game, and y'all can catch this. There's only a couple of videos in here because I do have to go back into this and start building the playlist up so you guys can catch all of this. But if you remember this right here, this is when a lot of y'all came to know me, when I read the game's transcripts. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to keep it moving. Let me move this up just a little bit because there's information in here that I do want y'all to hear. Is this the one? I think this is when they found out he was shuttling the money. Capacity of Jesus lawyer Jones responded everything from his day to day. Okay. So now let's go back a little bit and let's let Henny read this. On November 18, 2016, the U.S. District Court in the Northern District of Illinois entered a judgment against Taylor in favor of Rainey for $7,130,000, $7,130,000 and $100. Okay. So the girl $7,130,000, $100. I think I said that, but yeah. Basically, got 7.1 million and some change, a little change on it. Okay. Before the judgment was entered, Taylor has fought tooth and nail to avoid being held accountable for his actions. Indeed, Taylor, which is the game, has consistently employed myriad evasive tactics before, during, and after trial. Okay. Most of which were meticulously documented in the U.S. Court of Appeals. Okay. On the date of this complaint, Rainey has collected. So as of the date of this complaint, she collected $6,872. She collected $258,058.33 from his royalties. Oh. So if you don't know, what had happened was she was awarded his rights and royalties. Like all his royalties that were, supposed to go to him, they go to her. Okay. Which represent approximately 3.62% of the principal of the judgment. Okay. But most of the judgment remains unsatisfied as $6,872,000 and $6,872,041.67 is still outstanding as of the date of this. Okay. This right here document goes into all of the charges that were brought up against him. May 25th of 2016, Rainey's trial counselor took the deposition of Jones, which is Wack 100, in the underlying action. Jones is Taylor's manager. According to Jones' testimony in his 2016 deposition, Jones was Taylor's sole manager since approximately 2014. Now I'm gonna circle back to this. So put a pin in that. Remember 2014. Put a pin in that. All right, remember that. And Taylor's management team. And was on Taylor's management team for 6 years prior to being his sole manager. So prior to becoming his sole manager, he's saying, I was on his team 6 years before that. Baby. He said when asked at the deposition what he did in his capacity as Taylor's manager, Jones responded as follows. Everything from his day-to-day to his mortgages, to his record deals, to his flights, to his ground support. I mean, whatever. I book his shows, maintain his publishing contracts. I mean, you name it, A to Z. Jones has a record label by the name of Fifth Amendment Entertainment, Inc. Okay. Although Jones's Although Jones incorporated a company by the name of Fifth Amendment Entertainment, Inc. in California in 2007, the last statement of information was filed in 2010. As a result, that company has currently been suspended. In 2016, Jones okay. Subsequently, on or about August 25th, 2015, Jones incorporated a similarly named company, Fifth Element Entertainment, Inc. in Florida. I said element, I meant amendment, and that's in Florida. Remember I kept telling y'all when we were going through the Keefy D stuff that Wack's Fifth Amendment company was no longer in California, nor was it in Nevada, but that it was in Florida. This is where I got that information from. Y'all remember this right here, okay? In his deposition in 2016, Jones testified under oath regarding the following for Fifth Amendment. I'm paraphrasing now. So what happens when I do business? Yes, this is the company that is being sued in the Australian case. Yes. Business is what. Let me just say this. I love when y'all pay attention. I really do. Because y'all got to understand the work that goes into this, the reading of it. Then in a case like this, going back and rereading my work or finding and digging and bringing y'all up to date. I'm bringing y'all all of this for a reason, okay? I'm only going to let this play for a little bit longer, and then we're going to get into well, I really don't have to get into it, do I? Because y'all could go and watch this stuff for yourself. So I'm going to let this play just a little bit longer. And then I'm going to get into the recent court docs because that's what y'all want to hear. Y'all want to hear how he actually lost this $4 million mansion, or that's what they're saying. It's actually $3 million and some change, but they're rounding it up. Okay. What I can do for y'all, and I promise I'll do for y'all, is I will play this playlist for you guys tomorrow so that you guys can watch all of the videos in succession and y'all be able to follow it from this video through the transcript and then my follow-up the 10 years later, how he was fighting the case. Can Jared use any of this information to help him against Wack? I don't know, but my hope is that he can. And I'm going to tell you why. Jared mentioned in his one of his court docs how he was saying that his case went viral, which it did, thanks to y'all. Shout out to y'all for running that up. He said since his case went filed that his evidence was hacked. It wasn't hacked. We just knew how to get into it. Anyway, it's in the court doc. It's public record. We were able to get into it. So he's aware. He's aware of who we are. He's aware, of the channel. He's aware. So I'm hoping that he's watching all of this stuff that has been put out on Wack and he's able to use it. Not only Jared, but I'm hoping that Jaren, the one who was hacked and had his business contracts navigated elsewhere, I'm hoping that he is able to also use this as well because they have been wronged in their cases. But let's listen a little bit more to this court doc and then we'll get into the recent ones. So what happens when I do business, it is going to be between Fifth Element and that company. And then I establish a contract between Fifth Amendment and the artist. Game as an independent artist. So how is it that he had, let me shut up. Anyway, he is not tied in or assisted or assigned to nobody. Even E1 Music, E1 has a joint venture with my company, a contract game for the projects. Once the project gets rolling, then I fall into my management position. But listen, let's get one thing straight. This is what Wack said. Now listen, this sounds real fishy to me. I'm right here. Let me pull it up. I'm right here. But listen, let's get one thing straight. You will never find a contract between nobody and Jason Taylor direct. How is that possible? So is he not under contract? No, the game is not under contract. The game is actually in his pocket. But I believe that the game may have severed ties with Wack. Okay. Because here is where we're going to get into what you all came for. So let me go ahead and let me pull the court docs up. And let's get into it. Okay. Because I'm going to close this video out. But y'all heard for yourselves. Wack said you'll never find a contract between the game and I, or anybody, as a matter of fact. So now, let's mosey on over to January 1st. Oh, wait. We didn't talk about the house. Oh, I closed the video out. We didn't talk about the house. It's okay. I'll get to the house. Hold on one second, because we have to talk about the house. I have to get to the video about the house, because if I don't play the video about the house, then how will you all know? Okay, so boom, I could just tell y'all, and then y'all can watch the video in the morrow. Okay, in the morrow, y'all can watch it. So now, check this out. Let me run y'all through it real quick. The game on the house in Calabasas. He puts the game. Actually, no, he bought the house under JTT Holdings. When this case came down, he gifted the house to Wack. So that way Wack wouldn't have to pay any taxes on it. Somewhere during the process, Wack then signed it over to Kim. Kim signed it back to him, right? The house then goes from JTT Holdings to Wack 100. And that is how they were able to try to hide this house or funnel this house to keep it from being a part of Priscilla's collections. The shell companies that he was using, the royalties that he was getting, the game was going through Fifth Amendment and into JTT Holdings. The game opened up 2 bank accounts in JTT Holdings' name, and that's where all of his money was going. And he was doing personal purchases such as food, paying his rent, doing this, that, and the third, whatever he was paying. I'm saying that as an example. But he was using the JTT Holdings accounts to take care of his personal business. But it was being funneled through Fifth Amendment into JTT Holdings, F12 and Associates, and Pass Go to Win. So this is what happened with all of that. So now we move ourselves right on over here to the recent court docs. Okay, we're going to pull up the recent court docs. Now you're going to see some court docs here. All right. Once they did all of that, I'm just giving you a refresher. Again, I will make sure that I play the videos for y'all tomorrow. Let's get to these docs. So this court doc right here is an order for injunction, okay? And this is where Priscilla Rainey's legal team was able to figure out when she moved her case, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. When she moved her case from out there in Chicago to California, her lawyers were able to track down how all of this money was being funneled around. And this is the court doc here, okay? And it was ordered. And this court doc is dated December 21st, 2023. And it's a final judgment and permanent injunction. And it says it is ordered, adjudged, and decreed. Rainey is awarded judgment on the first cause of action of alter ego liability against defendants Taylor and JTT Holdings. JTT Holdings and Taylor are declared alter egos of each other and liable for Rainey's judgment against Taylor, entered in the matter entitled Priscilla Rainey versus Jason Taylor, aka The Game. Rainey was awarded judgment on the second cause of action of alter ego against defendants Taylor and F12. F12 and Taylor are declared alter egos of one another and liable for the underlying judgment. Rainey is awarded judgment on the third cause of actions for voidable transactions pursuant to Uniform Voidable Transactions Act against defendants Jones, Taylor, and JTT Holdings, which are the three places that house went through. Okay. Rainey is with legal description as set forth in the attached exhibit A. The property is set aside and rendered void in the extent necessary to satisfy the underlying judgment against Taylor. Following entry of this judgment, legal title shall be deemed to be held by JTT Holdings as to Rainey. Okay, so that's where we get into JTT Holdings having the title and the deed to the house, right? So Rainey is awarded judgment in the fourth cause of action for voidable transactions pursuant to UVTA against defendants Jones, Taylor, and JTT Holdings. Now we're going to scroll down to here, right? And this is what it says. It says the membership interest of Taylor in the limited liability company, JTT Holdings at F12, is hereby with the unpaid balance of the underlying judgment, which means that they are actually they're making them liable for the judgment. Okay. To the extent necessary to satisfy the underlying judgment, JTT Holdings and F12 shall pay any money or property due to Taylor directly to Rainey until the unpaid balance of the underlying judgment is paid in full. So any money that The Game got, JTT Holdings got, F12 and Associates got, it went to Rainey. All of that had to go to Priscilla. Okay. Okay. So now, as of this judgment shall constitute notice of each provision of the judgment and shall constitute a judgment lien against the property, which Rainey may immediately enforce the full extent of California's law to the extent necessary to satisfy the underlying judgment. This is where the lien came in on his home back in December 21st of 2023. All right. Defendants Jones, Taylor, JTT Holdings, F12, and Pass Go, and each of them be hereby enjoined from transferring, encumbering. Basically, what they're saying in fancy language is they are now Wack, The Game, JTT Holdings, F12, and Pass Go to Win can no longer transfer any property, any money, or any of that. Okay. And they were told to reverse the house. That's what they were told. And guess what? She got the lien on the house. Okay. How long has Priscilla had this lien on this house? She has had the lien on the house. The judgment was awarded in 2016. She got the lien on the house April 11th of 2024, last year. And the balance that was still remaining owed to her was $6,898,854.82. So this is when the lien was placed on the property. Did I show y'all that? I did show y'all that. I was good. I showed y'all that. Okay. So now we get over here to these good old meats and potatoes, and we come on to this document, which was filed on 1/6 of 2025. Watermark. I already know. I can hear people already telepathically telling me, Henny, put the watermark. Henny, put the watermark. I'm coming. Boom. There goes the watermark. Okay. So now this is the response to an order to show cause why order for sale of the dwelling should not be made. Now, this is coming from The Game. Now, if you remember recently, I told you that The Game was trying to appeal that injunction right there. He was trying to appeal it. The judge wasn't having it. He was supposed to show up to court. He never showed up to court. And now this is what happens. All right. So boom. And this document right here, he's trying to block the sale before it even starts, you guys. Okay, so that's what he is attempting to do when it comes to this document. His lawyers argued that Priscilla had filed the paperwork and it was not under oath, that she used an outdated lien holder and that she filed it too late. So what does that all mean? She didn't follow the rules, so no sale should happen, is what they were saying, right? Right. So that's basically the meat and potatoes of all of these court docs right here. They talk about the lien that's on the home and all of that, but this document right here, document 119, oh baby, let's read this document, okay? This is the declaration of Janelle M. Deceased, I believe is her name. Now, it says paragraph 7, evidence. Wait, let's go up to the top and let's read this, all right? Defendant Jason Terrell Taylor hereby objects to the following evidence by plaintiff Priscilla Rainey in connection with an order to show cause, why order for sale of dwelling should not be made, set for hearing on January 27th of 2025 before the honorable court, right? So now it says on paragraph 7 in the evidence, during the course of those proceedings, I was informed by Cash M. Jones that neither the judgment debtor nor Cash M. Jones resides at the property and it was being used as a music studio. So now the game objected because you know what? Hold on one second, because I think they would. Hold on one second. All right. Yep, that's what I need to do. Hold on one second. Let me go back here. Okay, so back on this document, let me read this right here. A plaintiff application is not under oath. That's what he was saying, right? All right. In order to levy upon a dwelling, the judgment creditor shall apply to the court for an order for the sale of the dwelling. The judgment creditor's application shall be made under oath, shall describe the dwelling, and shall contain all of the following: a statement whether or not the record of the county tax assessor indicates that there is a current homeowner's exemption, a statement which may be based on information and belief whether the dwelling is a homestead and the amount of the homestead exemption, if any, and a statement whether or not the records of the court recorder indicate that a homestead declaration, C, a statement of the amount of any liens or encumbrances on the dwelling, the name of each person having a lien or encumbrance on the dwelling. Pay attention to this. A statement that the judgment is based on a consumer debt as defined in subdivision. They give the sections and all of that. Plaintiff's application is not made under oath. This is a necessary part of the application. Plaintiff contended that his application didn't disclose tax liens. All right, that's where they go into the case. All right. Plaintiff does not include the declaration. However, the declaration of Janelle M. Deceased fails to make the four requirements, the four required declarations under penalty of perjury. In Homestead, in her declaration, Ms. Deceased makes no statements regarding whether or not the property is a homestead, makes no statement regarding any liens or encumbrances, and makes no statement that regarding whether the judgment is a consumer debt. These statements might be contained in an application, but the application is not under oath, thus rendering it defective. Now, why did you read that to us, Henny? Because there are two things that are going on in that paragraph right there. What they're saying in that is that they didn't do their due diligence to find out as to whether or not there was already some type of lien on that home, or if the home is a homestead. Now, in California, there is a homestead law where if that is the person's sole residence, that it cannot be sold if there is a lien on the home. Now, remember this, because Blueface has a multi-million-dollar lien on his home right now. But Blueface's saving grace is that his home is under the name of Jonathan Jamal Porter. So that is his home. It is not a business home. It does not have whack on it anywhere. So he may be protected by the homestead where that strip club cannot come in and take his house from him because it is his sole residence. The game, this is not his sole residence, and you're going to find out why. But they're saying that this basically should be used as a homestead. And two, they didn't check to see if there was any other liens or any of that stuff on the home before proceeding with their paperwork, right? Right. That's what that whole paragraph means. And if you ask me, that's the most important one. So now we get over here to this one. All right. So this is where they're talking about, Wack is saying, remember what I just told you about Homestead. Wack got on record and said that neither him nor the game reside at the property, and it's being used as a music studio. The game's lawyer is objecting and calling it hearsay. The evidence is objected to on the grounds that is inadmissible hearsay. Mr. Jones' out-of-court statements are not admissible, but they are, because here's what Wack just did. Okay? With that one little statement, he got the game's homestead rejected. Because in order for a homestead to go into place, somebody has to have residency there. Oh, but wait, there's more. We're going to get to more. What else did Wack say? Well, let's see. What else did Wack say? Because there's more that Wack did say. Or is that it? I think that was it. Yeah, that was it for what Wack said. Okay, this evidence is objected. Okay, so the foundation of his statement, this evidence is objected to on the grounds that the statement, if not hearsay, lacks foundation to establish the personal knowledge of the declaration. Evidence. The last full appraisal of the property was done on August 5th of 2019 as part of a refinance transaction. A true and correct copy of which is attached here too, which appraised the property at a market value of $3,600,000. Now, if you're telling me on August 5th of 2019 that there was a refinance transaction, that means that somebody tried to refinance the home. But this was back in 2019. And this was back when the property was transferred over to Wack. So that means that Wack tried to refinance that home, which means that there is allegedly another lien on that home. But now Wack gets up in here and talks and says whatever. We don't know where he said it because they're saying that it's hearsay. But Wack has said that neither he nor the game reside there, and that it's being used as a music studio. So you just fucked up the game's money by saying the dumb that you just said. Okay? And basically, what this all amounted to was that the game's lawyers were trying to say that Rainey's evidence is weak, throw it all out. Okay? But you destroyed the boy's homestead, or the man's homestead. Okay? Single-handedly. And that's what makes me look at this like, wait a minute, is there something more going on with the game and Wack? Because the game is over in Dubai, to my understanding, and Wack is not. So that tells me that the game might be out there on his own. All right, literally and figuratively. Now, this is document 20, and it was filed on January 13th of 2025. And in this right here, this is Priscilla's team fighting back. Okay. And what they said was, the game had no exemption. Okay, it was a fraudulent transfer removed from his ownership. That Wack holds the title, and the game only treated as an owner for collection, and that all their legal steps were proper. So what does that mean? That means that the game lost all rights to protect this home. So let's proceed with the sale. That's basically what this court doc is saying. Okay. But this one right here. Now, Henny, how do you know that Wack refinance that home? Well, look right here. Unified residential loan application. Borrower, right here is Cash Jones' signature. And he put down there that it was his primary residence for a refinance. And when was this dated? And the refinance amount was for $2,458,400. Mm-hmm. The borrower, Fifth Amendment ENT, is the borrower's place of employment. Mm-hmm. And then they redacted all of that out. Then this right here says, do you intend to occupy the property as your primary residence? If yes, complete the questions below. And he checked off yes. But what did he say in court? Say the amount again. 2 million. Wait a minute, hold on. That's the total cost, the loan amount. $2,458,400. And he was going to get $30,000 cash. You refinanced this home and got money off of this house. $2 million. You might as well round that up to the nearest million, $2.5 million in a refinance of this home. That if the transactions are voidable, meaning he's not the owner of this home, my question is, would he then be able to be charged with loan fraud? I'm just asking. And the fact that he got up in that court and said that was just a recording studio. Well, here's another affidavit, an occupancy and financial status affidavit. Occupancy, principal residence. This is all for that loan. What are you reading, Henny? I am reading document number 123. And yes, I do plan on giving y'all a full read of this entire document. You see all this right here? This is all the transactions that took place on that house. And the things that they have is the things that I read out to y'all about how the transactions were voidable. So if you received funds fraudulently, you, my dear, have committed wire fraud and all types of stuff. Okay. But in this document, it proved that the game had no legal or equitable interest in the home. JTT Holdings and Wack own the title. But Wack 100 owns 100% of JTT Holdings. What is that? I want to go to the exhibits. And we're going to have to scroll. Oh, I spelled that wrong. It's okay. It's all right, Henny. It's after midnight. It's almost 1 a.m. We need exhibit K. H. Was that H? H. Hold on. We get into it. I. K. Y'all ready? AccuFast Business Services. Payroll, income tax planning, and prep. Full service booking. Business management. Business services. This is dated November 27th, 2018. To whom it may concern, this is to confirm that my CPA firm has prepared The most recent 2 years of business and personal tax returns for Fifth Amendment Entertainment Inc., JTT Holdings LLC, and Cash Jones. Cash Jones is 100% owner of Fifth Amendment Entertainment Inc. and 100% owner of JTT Holdings. Let me scroll this up so y'all can see that. And then let me go ahead and let me highlight this for y'all. Wait, let me highlight this right here like this. Boom. So when the house was put under JTT Holdings, it was still given to Wack. And then Wack signed it off from JTT Holdings to himself. Then from himself to Kim. Then from Kim back to him. And the court said, put it back to JTT Holdings. So what have we learned? We have learned that Wack completely fucked the game. There's no getting around that. There's no ifs, ands, buts, or maybe about it, okay? The alter ego ruling does not create a homestead right. Wack said nobody lives there. There's no real residency. The game has a month-to-month lease, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go to that. I believe that was on page 80. No, it's not page 80. Hold on one second. Let me get that lease real quick for y'all. Let me go ahead and get that lease real quick for y'all. Because when y'all see this lease, it's right here. They had a rental agreement. Basic rental agreement for residential lease. And it is JTT Holdings shall be referred to as the owner and the tenant, J. Sion Taylor. And it is for the Calabasas home. And the resident agrees to pay $18,500 per month on the first of each month until April 30th of 2019 as a leaseholder. Even if these documents were fraudulently made up to make it seem like the game doesn't have any money, Wack has gone through, and you got to think about it, because when all of these documents were made up, we're getting a clear picture. This was made up in 2018 when he and the game were still cool. So in 2018, you out here refinancing the home, putting the home under your name as a gift, okay? And refinancing the home actually still could have blocked Priscilla from taking the home and selling it. It still could have blocked her, but it didn't. But that was another ploy and another tactic. And then you see that the house was transferred from the game to Wack, and then back to Wack. And Wack put this contract into agreement saying that this is a renter's agreement. And when he filled out that loan, he said that it was his principal home. So whose home is it? Then you turn around and you get to him answering questions about this, and he turns around and he says, what? That nobody lives there. It's a recording studio in the middle of the game trying to get a homestead ruling for him not to lose the house. Nasty work. Nasty work. So now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that I have brought you all the way here, is the title correct? Did Wack 100's lies get the game's home snatched from right up underneath him? Because with all of this evidence that they have fraudulent transfers that doesn't return ownership to Taylor, to the game. They've got title reports that show that Wack owns the house. They have a historical chain of titles. They've got grant deeds, proof of transfers to Wack. They've got the CPA letter, which I just read to y'all, that shows that Wack owns 100% of JTT Holdings. Wack admitted to this. admitted to the fact that nobody lives there. They have business records that Wack took out a mortgage, a refinanced mortgage. The game has no financial control over that house. The game only had a month-to-month lease based off of the documents that they have. And Wack's declaration that nobody lives there that killed the homestead. Notices of levy that the game and Wack both were served. So there's no escape, okay? Now, this was Wack's role in the alter ego ruling, okay? And this made the game tied to the property. Because remember when he was talking to academics, he said it doesn't matter if the house is in his name as long as it's tied to him. Well, Wack was part of the fraudulent scheme, right? And the courts ruled that the game and Wack and JTT Holdings were all an alter ego. The ownership did not protect the game. And the property was treated as his. Wack's move legally tied the game right back to the house. Okay? Then when we go over here to document 124, let me show y'all this. And this is the defendant's supplemental briefing regarding the order to show cause why orders for the sale of the house dwelling should not be made. Okay, so now let's get into this, right? So the game's lawyers took one last grasp at trying to stop all of this from happening. And the lawyer said that the game lives there and the homestead should still apply, that he has the residency. Okay? And that the game deserved to still be protected, but the judge was not convinced of any of this, and he wasn't convinced of any of this because of what Wack said. So now Priscilla hit both Wack and the game with notices, and both were tied to the property, and this erases any argument that the game wasn't connected because it all shows a connection to both Wack and the game, which you even have in a lease with your name on it. You're tied to that house. Wack refinancing that home and saying it's his principal home ties Wack to the house. The fact that the deed went game, Wack, Wack, Wack. Nasty, nasty work. And I'm telling you, the way that he moved, the way that Wack moved, it could have protected the game, but do you see how double-sided this is? Because it worked to show the game ain't got no money. He's paying $18,500 a month for rent. He's leasing this house from me. But it also could work against him because now if they really decide that they want to try to fight this case, they could both end up in some serious trouble because those are fraudulent documents that were used. You defrauded a loan company by saying that was your residence and got $2.5 million from that house. And when the house went back over to JTT Holdings, guess who still has to pay that loan? Wack got to pay that loan back. Y'all still want to tell me that Wack ain't broke? That's a broke nigga move right there. Anyway, so now let's get to this order for sale of the dwelling because this, ladies and gentlemen, this is the best part. So on November 7th of 2018, Judge McCreditor registered in this court pursuant to U.S. Code 28, a judgment in the amount of $7,130,100 entered in by United States District Court of the Northern District of Illinois against defendant and in the favor of the plaintiff on November 18th of 2016. Okay? Now, the plaintiff obtained a writ of execution on April 23rd of 2024 and recorded a notice of levy upon the real property commonly known as the Calabasas Mansion on June 25th of 2024. Thereafter, plaintiff initiated the instant proceedings seeking the sale of the property towards satisfaction of the judgment. Now, here's the legal standard, okay? Money judgments entered in federal court are enforceable through the procedure of the state where the court is located unless there is an applicable federal statute. Okay. After a judgment creditor has satisfied the preliminary steps, hold on one second, y'all. Let me give me some water. Salute to Stand On and Media and everybody that has just come in. Nino and everybody, I see y'all. All right, so where were we? Preliminary steps of recording an abstract of judgment to create a judgment lien against a real property at issue, obtaining a writ of execution and levy upon the property at issue. Judgment creditors must apply to the court for an order for sale of the dwelling. Upon the filing of the application, the court shall set a time and place for hearing and under the judgment debtor to show cause why an order for sale should not be made in accordance with the application. So basically what they're saying is that they had to do a writ of execution. This is everything that has gone down. And I know y'all really want to get to, there's the application. I know y'all want to get to the conclusion of this. And here we go talking about the homestead. So let me stop right here and let me read the homestead for y'all. Whether the property is subject to homestead exemption, okay? The court now addresses whether the property is subject to a homestead exemption. The county tax assessor's records indicate that there is no current homeowner's exemption or disabled veterans exemption. So the burden is on judgment debtor to show the property is a homestead. One question controls the deposition of the homestead exemption issue, whether the property is owned by a natural person. The homestead exemption applies only to property of natural persons. So what that means is, because that property is in JTT Holdings names, it could not get a homestead anyway. Judgment creditor argues that the judgment debtor's interest in the property is not subject to homestead exemption because the judgment debtor only retains an equitable interest in JTT Holdings LLC, which has title to the property. A state court judge rendered a judgment declaring that JTT Holdings is a judgment debtor alter ego and finding that legal title to the property is held by JTT Holdings. So now that's the alter ego of a natural person. Judgment creditor argues that since legal title is held by JTT Holdings, they start reading off, sections. Section 74.74 does not apply, and the judgment debtor cannot claim a homestead exemption. At first glance, judgment debtor's argument appears to have merit. In the opinion, judgment debtor cites that the bankruptcy court considers whether debtor is entitled to claim an automatic homestead exemption in the property under California law, whether debtor does not hold a title to the property, rather in irrevocable trust for which debtor is a beneficiary and was trustee at the time of filing, holding titles of the property. I don't know. Okay, all right. The bankruptcy court traced the legislative history of the automatic homestead exemption and found that the California legislator intended to extend the protection of the homestead exemption to an individual's beneficial interest in a trust that owned the subject property, even when he did not personally own the protectable legal interest. So, as already described, the state court found that JTT Holdings owns legal title in the property. Judgment debtor did not dispute this. Under California law, a limited liability company is a separate and distinct legal entity from its owners or members. Consequently, limited liability company members have no interest in the company's assets. While the judgment debtor might have had an ownership interest in JTT Holdings, that does not confer upon him an interest with the property. Okay? Alternatively, judgment debtor appears to argue that his alleged residence at the property alone is sufficient to confer an equitable interest subject to a homestead exemption. However, for the foregoing reasons, the court finds that the judgment debtor does not have a qualifying interest in the property that would allow him to claim a homestead exemption under section 704-740, because the courts find that that section does not apply to the court. Does not apply. The court does not reach the question of whether judgment debtor has met his burden to prove that he is continuously resided at the property. So, in conclusion, the foregoing reason, judgment creditor's application for order of sale of the dwelling is granted. And it is hereby ordered that the property, which is located in Calabasas, the land referred to herein below, is situated in the city of Calabasas, county of Los Angeles, state of California, and is described as below. The portion of the south half of the northwest quarters of Section 9 Township. Okay, we're not going to read all of that, all right? They're telling you where the house is and all of that. But as y'all heard, the game, that's how he lost this case. Because he failed to prove homestead exemption. And so the courts approved the sale. House is not protected. And the crazy thing about it is, Wack became the front man for the fraudulent transfers that were ruled invalid. Wack admitted that nobody lived there, which killed the game's homestead argument. The courts ruled that the game and Wack were tied, erased separation, and opened the property to seizure. Wack got a mortgage, which was further proof that the game no longer controlled the home. And Priscilla served them both, which locked them into the case. And the bottom line of all of this is that Wack 100 was supposed to help shield the game's mansion. And instead, he became the very reason that the mansion was taken. One bad plan, one court case, and $7 million later, the game is about to lose everything. He's about to be homeless. He's about to be homeless because he followed Wack down this road. And I'm not just saying that because I have, a personal vendetta. Y'all see, I'm reading the paperwork. Salute to Oda on Go. Oda, I wish I was in New York because we would be going to the Diddy trial together, honey. Take that. How the hell you homestead a home you don't own? Wack 100 done lied, and the game now without a home to live in. I hope Ray J and Blueface paying attention. Man, listen, somebody better tell Carlissa she needs to look into this case before Blueface ends up in the same situation. Well, actually, Blueface can't end up in the same situation because unlike the game, Blueface's name is on his on his house. So as long as Blueface keeps that going, he's protected under the homestead. And that $16 million lien he got on his house was probably 15, and I'm just exaggerating it. That multi-million-dollar lien he's got on his house right now, they won't be able to do to him what they're doing to the game because that's his sole residence. And that is what I've been trying to tell people. When people come to me and say to me, Henny, oh, Blueface about to lose his house. No, he's not, because he's protected under the homestead. But now what was stupid was the game trusted Wack. And as you can see from the date on all of the court documents, when they first entered into all of this, they were in good standing. But I'm curious to know, does the game know that Wack took out a $2.5 million refinance mortgage on that house? And he did that shortly after the deeds were transferred. I want to say he knew, because you remember when you go back to the beginning of what I started reading, it said that they had to check to see if there were any other debtors or creditors that were coming for that home. But when the courts reversed everything back and made those transactions voidable, that voided out that being a block, a layer of protection to keep Priscilla from getting that house. It's over. Wack played that man like a fiddle. Ain't no way in hell you gonna have me paying rent for $18,500. But then again, no, that was a month. I was gonna say that was probably his. No, you make mortgage payments every month. I wonder if that was the game's mortgage. Either way, like I just said, Wack was supposed to protect and shield the game from this, and he did not. And him running his mouth, telling them people that nobody lived there. Salute to Most Scandalous Los Angeles TV. Y'all go check him out. What's poppin'? Oh, can you feel? No, I'm playing. But when he went up in there and told them people that nobody lived there and that the house was being used as a recording studio, that added to the layers of why this house was not going to be Homestead. Game, I would say I feel sorry for you, but I'd be lying. Is that mean, y'all? I hope that's not considered mean. But Wack set him up for the fall. But if you pay attention, like I said to y'all a few minutes ago, if you pay attention to the way the game just fell, and I'm going to say he played a part in how he got himself into that $7 million, but Wack played a part in how he lost that home. But the way he set it up, it was a double-edged sword. It could protect you, but in the end, it's going to guillotine you. But anyway, you said that's how a pimp relationship works? Yeah. Didn't Wack say he likes to keep game in debt so that they will keep working for him and that the game was slow? That's what he didn't necessarily say that he was slow, but if you're talking about the transcripts, he absolutely laid all of that out. And that's why I kept harping on that with you guys, because he likes to keep them broke and indebted to him so that he could always reach in his back pocket and make a quick buck off of whoever it is that he's got in his back pocket. And I feel like this, the game, he was just over in Dubai. I don't know if he's still over in Dubai, but he was just over there. Wack was not over there. To my understanding, is they've had some issues because of loose cannon or whatever. So I feel like their business relationship was probably strained. And so Wack just went in for the kill. That's how it's coming off. If I'm wrong, then I'll say I'm wrong. But every time Wack is involved in some shit, this is the type of stuff that goes down. Everybody needs to stay away from Wack. But I'm going to tell you who I'm waiting to see go down. And I'm not wishing his downfall, so please don't take this the wrong way. But if Adam 22 don't get away from Wack anytime soon, it's going to be No Jumper, owned by Wack 100. Yeah, he played him. He was the manager. That's a fact. All Wack was doing was managing his own pockets and his own best interests. And this man at his big age is about to be tossed out of his Calabasas mansion. A mansion that he's owned for a very long time. Now, did he play a hand in it? Absolutely. Because he was also posting pictures and all types of stuff. Let me get this document back up here. So I can show y'all some of the foolery that this man was out here doing, clowning. Is this it? Nope. I want to get to document 23. Is it document 23 where they have the pictures and stuff? Because they had some pictures. And one of these pictures, I was like, bro, you really are. If Wack called him slow, I would have to say that would not be an understatement. Let's see if I can find the photo. Because in one of these documents, they have pictures of the game. And I'm going to tell you, one of the pictures was him going to go get, I believe it was a Maybach truck or a Bentley truck. And it said something to the effects of just got out of court feeling good, dropped $500,000 on a Bentley truck or something like that. It wasn't this one. I'm going to find it while we're talking because y'all, I know y'all probably like, and he lying. But you know for a fact that he was doing all types of stupid stuff because he also was posting money and all types of stuff on his Instagram as if he's not being watched. See, that's something else that y'all got to pay attention to is the fact that when you're in litigations, they will go through your social media just to catch you slipping. They will. And they caught the game slipping multiple times talking about this case. He just recently talked about this case on remember when they had the Auntie T podcast on Zeus Network? Oh, don't worry. This was just the beginning of me cracking this case open. I'm about to really go in. Because it's a lot of court documents, but because it's so late at night, and I have to apologize to y'all, but Krishan did an interview with the Danza Project. If y'all have not gone and watched it, if you are a Krishan fan, what are you doing? If you're a Krishan supporter, what are you doing? You should have been over there. But it was a really dope interview. She got, she showed her vulnerable side. She opened up about some things. She really did her big one. The Danza Project did a great job interviewing her. But I'm trying to find these doggone pictures. But if I can't find the pictures now, I'll be sure to find them and post them to my community wall so that you guys can see all the dumb stuff that he was doing when he was in court that they ended up using as evidence against him. So the game absolutely 100% played a hand in his own demise. But goddamn, this just makes you look at the people that you be close to. And yeah, I can't find it, y'all. I can't find it right now. So we're going to have to close this out and I will find it for y'all and post it to the community wall later. But this reminds me of that song. I wish I could play music on here, but they would probably get me if I did. But if you remember that song from Nas, watch them niggas that be close to you and make sure they do what they supposed to do. Cause they be thinking about smoking you. Never personal. Nowadays it's the ways. That comes to mind when I think about this case. Cause it sometimes be people that be close that you think have your best interest that don't. And in this situation, look at how detrimental that was. Like, let me tell you something. Wack will always show that he don't hold your best interest. And I don't understand how people still allow themselves to get jammed up with him. I don't. And if you out here still doing business with this man after all of it, look at Ray J. Ray J is caught up in 2 civil RICOs, totaling $50 million. $10 million for Jared Milgram, $40 million for Jaron Harrison. Now, understand that's the starting point for negotiations, but still, that's 50 M's. The game lost his house. Now, I know me and Carlissa be going back and forth with one another on social media at times or whatever, and I be, getting on her and all of that. But Carlissa really needs to get somebody to go in there and govern over her son's affairs. If she really gives 2 F's, well, I could say it because we well into that. If she really gives 2 fucks about her son's affairs, which I kind of believe she does, you would want to go have somebody look into it. Even if Carlissa don't, Blueface, get the hell away from Wack. Run as far as you can, as fast as you can, as quick as you can. Because, bro, your downfall is already being stacked up. Wack moves in phases, y'all. Remember that. He moves in phases. He comes in like a sheep, like a wolf in sheep's clothing. He comes in as a friend in need. Remember that? And before you know it, you jam the hell up. Adam 22, you better talk to your lawyers and figure out how the hell to get out of whatever contract you have with Wack. Yeah, I'm saying it. And I don't normally be like, oh, get away from this person, get away from that person, but it's detrimental to your health. And just think about it. All them people that be close to him, look what he doing to Loose Cannon. Look what's happening. 600. When he turned on 600, that's gonna be a sad day for him. Well, y'all, that's gonna do it for me. This was a late night pour up with Henny. I hope that y'all have been nice and tipsy and that y'all are able to tuck yourselves in and rest well. Let me see what y'all are talking about. I knew Game was gonna lose this case after he wiped his social media and started fasting. Beware of the Judas in the circle. Well, this is definitely a Judah. Let me say that. Let me tell you something. We're not talking about like friends that have a disagreement, they have a fallout. That's not what this is. This is somebody that came in with ill intentions from the jump, who was already plotting way before y'all even had a day one. They was already strategizing, plotting and scheming against you. That's the type of person that Wack is. We ain't talking about, oh, him and Wack, they was cool, they was like this, and they was like brothers, and then all of a sudden Wack. No. This was a man who came in with the deceitful intention from the jump. They dumb enough to think he wouldn't do it to them. And that's the problem. A lot of people look at stuff and be like, oh, that person would never do that to me. Ray J is the sequel of this movie, and Blueface is the trilogy. Ooh, swagger low. Don't do that. Blueface stuck on the plantation too. Blueface is behind bars until he do right. Wack made sure that Blue got so screwed up, he hit him with the till you do right by me. Blueface a Crip, we all know he got something against him. Yo, Sherm, you say that again, because this is the first time I'm seeing him jam up one at, shut up, 20 years a rapper. How many times Wack tried to make everyone think Blueface house was his? Every time. And he used that we word a lot. So does this mean the strip club can take away his house? No. Because unlike the game, that house is in Blueface's name, and he no longer owns the camo house. He only has this home that he has right now that Papa Blue and all of them are up in at this moment. That's the only house that they have, right, that he has right now. So he's actually protected underneath the homestead. And as long as he keeps only him on there and he doesn't do any of the stuff that the game did, he's good. And that's where the game messed up at. He should have kept his name on that deed. But see what happens when you try to get slick? Yes, Wack indeed lied to academics. He absolutely did. Wack thought he was Suge Knight on steroids. Thanks, Henny. This was interesting as heck. Crazy work on Wack's part. Later, girl. Later, y'all. All right, Miss D Real. What about the restaurant? The restaurant is Blueface partnered with King of Crabs, which is a chain. They're a franchise. So that's different. They didn't put a lien on his business, though. Game lost his Airbnb, man. Listen, he gonna be laying in one of the Maybach trucks until Priscilla come and take that shit. Anyway, y'all know what I always say. Thank you so much for tapping in and tuning in with me. If you've been here from the beginning to the end, salute to you. Whatever time you came in at, whatever point in time you came in, salute to all of you. Salute to all of the content creators who support, and I support them. I love all of y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of the Henny gang. Thank you to all of the supporters. I am so grateful and appreciative to y'all. I cannot do what I do without all of you, and we are just going to keep on going from here. Remember, I'm going to start breaking down the game's court docs for y'all in depth a little bit more if that's something that y'all want to hear about. I will also be posting some stuff to the community wall a little bit more. I'm going to get a little more active over here on this YouTube. But I am so grateful for each and every one of y'all. When y'all rest well, and I will see all of y'all in the next video. Peace, everybody.